So, you're a late game player that wants to get into floor 7 of dungeons. Well, this guide is perfect for you. Necron is the current end game content of Hypixel Skyblock. However, today you will learn how you can beat it with the low catacombs level and be on your way to end game. Let's get started. Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on Hypixel Skyblock. So, as you guys saw there by the intro, Floor 7 of Dungeons is the current end game content in Skyblock. However, you don't have to be end game to play Floor 7 of Dungeons. Floor 7 is extremely challenging, yet in this guide I'm going to be showing you how you can beat Floor 7 easily as a Cata 26 player or under. The only thing you need is to buy the right items and know what strategies work and what strategies do not work. In this video, I'll be explaining it in 5 parts. The timestamps are on screen right now. The breakdown of this video is first I'm going to be talking about the armor, then I'm going to be talking about weapons. After the weapons, I'm going to be talking about what mods you're going to need for Floor 7 of Dungeons. Then we're going to be going into common Floor 7 strategies. And lastly, we're going to be going into some other tips and tricks that are useful for Floor 7. So that is the breakdown of this video. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you guys to consider hitting that subscribe button as these videos take a lot of time to make, and this is the Floor 7 Mage Guide. Alright, so starting off is the armor. Now for Floor 7 of Dungeons, I have found a super duper overpowered armor set for Floor 7. And it is this that I'm wearing right now. So this is Shadow Goggles, Necromancer Lord Chestplate, and 2 Forts Storm Armor. However, the catch is that this Storm Armor is reforged to Giant. Now, most of the time, people either put Necrotic or Ancient on their Storm Armor. However, Storm Armor by itself has very bad defense stats, and many people have a lot of trouble surviving Floor 7 with their Storm Armor. So me and a few of my friends in the comment section came up with this, putting the Giant Reforge on Storm Armor. The reason that Giant on Storm Armor is so much better than something like Reinforced or Perfect is because the most dangerous mobs in Floor 7, which are Skeleton Masters and Withermancers, all do true damage. By having these giant pieces on your Storm Armor, you are ensured to have tons of health. For example, I personally get upwards of 12,000 health at the end of a dungeon, and you also get lots of intelligence because of the Storm Armor base stats. I strongly recommend you use with this setup. It's worth about 70 to 80 million coins depending on the reforges and what price you get the armor at, but it is insanely powerful and a lot of dungeon players use this setup. However, for Floor 7, you cannot use just one armor set. In Floor 7 of Dungeons, you're going to need some additional armor pieces and armor sets to ensure that you have the best experience. First and foremost, you're going to need 2 pieces, the Bonzo Mask and the Tarantula Boots. The Bonzo Mask is very useful in the Necron boss fight because all the Wither Skulls that the different Wither Miners shoot can easily kill you, and this Bonzo Mask will give you a second life. And the Tarantula Boots are really good, not because they're a good armor piece, but because they allow you to fly in dungeons. How do you fly in Floor 7? Well, I will explain that when we get to that point, but just remember that you need Tarantula Boots readily available if you want to succeed in Floor 7 of Dungeons. And lastly, you're going to need a set of Mastiff armor. Now you might be wondering, Mastiff, what in the world is that? Well, let me explain. Recently, there has been a new glitch discovered in Dungeons called Mastiff Wishing. Basically, the Wish ultimate of the healer class is dependent on how much health you have. So if you put on Mastiff armor, you can get an absorption shield of up to 50,000 hearts once you're in Mastiff armor with a lot of blessings. That is why you want to keep a set of Mastiff armor around simply so you can Mastiff Wish. How does a Mastiff Wish work? Well, just look at this footage. Okay guys, so now I'm already putting on the Mastiff armor, as you can see here, and as you can see, we got 26,000 hearts of absorption. Look at that. So clearly there is a lot of armor that you need to survive Floor 7 as a mage. However, you can't only have armor. Part of a good floor 7 build is also weapons, and unfortunately, there is also an abundance of weapons that you're going to need to do floor 7 efficiently. Floor 7 is quite a strategy-filled floor, and there are lots and lots of weapons that might not even seem like mage weapons that are actually very good in this floor. So I'm going to be breaking apart the weapons category into primary weapons, which are weapons you're going to use to attack and do most of your damage, and secondary weapons, as in weapons like an aspect of the end and other weapons that you won't attack with but are very, very useful. Most of the time in floor 7, you're going to be using the 100 mil Midas staff to clear the dungeon. The reason that you use the 100 mil Midas staff or a Spirit Scepter is because all the mobs have so much health that it's actually faster to clear them in one hit with the 100 mil Midas staff than the Spirit Scepter. Because even though the Spirit Scepter has a larger area of effect damage, the extra damage and faster killing time of the Midas staff actually makes it faster in many scenarios than the Spirit Scepter. However, you still want to keep your Spirit Scepter around, and this is for clearing things like Skeleton Masters. Skeleton Masters have low health, but they do tremendous damage. Suppose you're going into a dungeon run, then you can fire your Spirit Scepter, clear out the Skeleton Masters, and then just go right in for the rest of the mobs. Keep in mind that if you have a Hyperion, both these weapons become completely obsolete. However, this is meant to be a late game mage guide, and I consider the Hyperion quite of an end game weapon, so I'm not going to be talking about it as a main weapon in this guide simply for that reason. Okay, so now what are the secondary weapons that you're going to use in floor 7 of dungeons? Well, there's also a lot of those weapons as well. Okay, so the main secondary weapons you're going to be using are these. First, you're going to need an ice spray wand. A voodoo doll does the trick, but if you're wondering if an ice spray wand is worth it, I'll say 100% yes. Although the ice spray wand and the voodoo doll are basically the same for mini bosses, the ice spray wand has a much larger range. This becomes extremely useful for clearing rooms like Blood Room, but mostly it's really good against the Necron boss fight and the Wither Miners. The Wither Miners are grouped in a very large chunk, and by freezing all of them, it makes clearing them so much faster. So an Ice Spray Wand right now has dropped a lot in price, which is also another reason why it's definitely worth it. The next secondary weapon is the Rogue Sword. Now, a Rogue Sword is something that almost every player has. You can get it for free from Jamie the Villager. Now, for most classes, this is not that useful, but for Mage, it's extremely good. As you can see, for 40 mana, it gives you 10 speed, and you can convert mana into speed. This is an extremely good item for any mage, as you have practically unlimited mana, and you can go at 400% speed at all times. If you don't need the buff from Shadow Goggles, you can also opt to use a Shadow Assassin Helmet, as the ability will also let you go very fast by teleporting. The next secondary weapon we're going to be talking about is the Florid Zombie Sword. The Florid Zombie Sword is not that much better than the Ornate Zombie Sword, and personally I would not recommend spending around 4 million coins for it if you're not a healer, but I got it anyway because it is a definite upgrade. Now, in my previous guides, I talked about also using a Wand of Restoration that I have over here. So the Wand of Restoration used to be really good, but now with this armor set that gives you tons of health, the extra small amount of health, which is around 280 health, was going to be very minimal. And it's not worth risking a hotbar slot, because honestly the Wand of Restoration is not that good anymore with the giant storm armor, because the amount of health you have is so high that just an additional 280 hearts of healing is going to barely be noticed, and you're going to have a lot more value by using it on actual things like Super Boom, TNT, Spirit Leaps, and Diffuse Kits. Okay, we only have 2 more secondary weapons to go. First is the Wither Cloak Sword. This is a very optional secondary weapon, but personally I like it a lot. As you can see in this footage, there's all these Wither Skulls that are following me all around the Necron boss fight. These skulls will explode and damage me for 36,000 damage each, which will basically be enough to insta-kill me. However, by using the Wither Cloak Sword, as you can see, this Wither Cloak Sword will stop me from being killed by those Wither Skulls and basically give me, as you can see here, a bunch of extra lives. 5 extra lives altogether, which is really, really good. If you feel that you can outrun the Wither Skeletons pretty consistently, a Wither Cloak Sword is very optional as it does have quite a high price tag of 5 million coins. And lastly, we have a bow. This can be any bow. Personally, I use the sniper bow because it is a really fast projectile. A last breath bow is also a really, really good option. I don't carry around a last breath bow because most of the time archers and berserkers already have one, so it's kind of useless. But if you feel that you need a last breath bow because of its ability that reduces defense, definitely get it. It's a very good bow for killing Necron. Okay, everyone, so that was quite the mouthful. And I talked about a lot of things. If you're confused or you got overwhelmed there, make sure to go back in the video and make sure that you got all of this, because I'd say that you pretty much need all of this stuff. The only thing that is not compulsory is probably the Wither Cloak Sword. All the other stuff besides the Ice Spray Wand is pretty much completely necessary. You could make do with the Voodoo Doll, but if you have enough money for an Ice Spray Wand, you definitely want to get one. Okay, everyone, so now we're done with the gear you're going to need for dungeons. One last thing is the talisman reforges. For floor 7, I'd recommend going with full damage talismans because you get a lot of mage beam damage. However, I don't do that, I go with demonic, and the reason for this is because I'm a mage in the overworld as well. I just love the mage class, so I played in the overworld. I do not play a berserker type of setup in the overworld, I just use magic weapons, and that is why I have demonic talismans. Also, for me, my Midas Staff does as much damage as Left Click Mage, so it doesn't really make sense to go with that because the Midas Staff already does more damage than Left Click Mage would do. So yeah, that's my reasons for not going with damage talismans. But if you're going to be a regular person and not go mage in the overworld, then definitely get a Livid Dagger and damage talismans for that nice extra left click mage damage. Alright everyone, so now we're going to be talking about mods or modifications to the game. Now, a lot of players that play on Skyblock either play on Badlion Client or Lunar Client. While these clients will get you through the floor pretty easily, the terminal phase is where mods really start to come in handy. One of the most annoying things about the Necron boss fight is probably the terminals. And luckily, there's lots of mods that make the terminals a snap. Now, most people know one of these mods as Skyblock Extras, which is a continuation of Skyblock add-ons, which most clients have. Most people do not feel that they need Skyblock Extras, and the price tag of $5 for the mod also doesn't make it very appealing to most players, including me. Well, today I'm going to be showing you something called Danker's Skyblock mod. This is a much less known mod than Skyblock Extras, but it's basically the same thing as Skyblock Extras. It has all the features and maybe even more. And as you can see, it has dungeon puzzle solvers, and as you can see, it starts with letter terminal solver. It has all color terminal solvers. It has everything you're going to need. And I really recommend you switch to Forge. If you have a really bad computer, you can opt out of using chat triggers because chat triggers takes out a lot of FPS. But I have a good computer, so I use chat triggers for the Wings mod and YouTube rank mod. As you can see, I somehow have YouTube rank. But if you are struggling with FPS, I don't recommend you use chat triggers because it does slow down your FPS. Additionally, another mod that I really recommend is called Not Enough Updates, or NEU. Most of NEU is quite obscure, I don't really use it that much, but the one command I do use a lot is the /PV command. /PV opens up this really nice menu, as you can see right here. Very cool menu, it looks really, really nice. And the reason that the /PV command is actually nice is for this one reason. So suppose I join a dungeon party right here, but I don't know how good my teammates are. Well, now I can just do /PV Richie72, and now, for example, I can see all his stuff. And look at this, he looks like he's quite a good player. As you can see right here, I can check all of his stuff. Looks like he's a pretty good archer right here. And as you can see, now I know that this player has not been carried to their level and actually has enough stuff to survive floor 7. So those are the main mods that you're going to need for floor 7 of dungeons. These mods are optional, but I really, really recommend them as they're something that's completely free. You just got to download them. They're all free that I've listed right here, and they make your dungeons so much easier. Alright everyone, so now we're going to be going into a dungeon, and I'm going to be talking about many strategies and gameplay. Alright everyone, so now we're inside a floor 7 dungeon. So now I'm going to be explaining to you guys some of the strategies that I use in floor 7, because I'm not able to just run into the dungeon like all the sweats can, and probably so are you, because just running through floor 7 is actually pretty hard to achieve. So here's how I stay alive in floor 7 and still get things done. So as you can see, my 100 mil Midas staff is absolutely shredding through everything. And I pretty much don't even need to use my Spirit Scepter at all. But I still keep it around. As you can see, it's doing 9.5 mil damage pretty easily. And the reason for this is all because of the Skeleton Masters, the most annoying mob in all of dungeons. Alright, so here's how I clear. So most sweats, they actually first rush the blood room, and then they get secrets. But when you're a low player and you don't have enough EHP to survive very well, instead you want to get as many secrets and blessings as possible. Although this will slow down your run by quite a bit, I think it's better than dying, because you're going to be able to survive the dungeon way better than if you had none of those blessings as before. So as you can see, in the blood room, my ice spray wand is just completely freezing all of them. And as you can see, it makes the blood room a lot easier. Here we go. Look at that. The ice spray wand completely freezes them without anything. Look at that. Complete frozen. So here is where an ice spray wand is really good. Here is a yellow room lost adventure, and I can just shred through it with the 100 mil Midas staff, no problem. Look at this. I one-phased. I literally one-phased the yellow room lost adventure with the Midas staff. As you can see now, we use the Spirit Scepter from a distance, right? And then we can go down safely and not die. Okay guys, so now we're going to be putting on the Bonzo mask again and the Spirit boots, and we're also going to be putting the Wither Cloak sword in the place of our aspect of the end. Okay guys, so now I'm going to be showing you guys how you can fly in the dungeon. So we go into the portal, and basically we just spam our Spirit boots, and we go through, and we put this back on, and we can fly. Look at this, we can fly. It's that easy. Some people are like, oh, just this big glitch or something that people can fly. It's not a glitch. And it's not bannable either, because yeah, it's not bannable. Admins have confirmed that this is perfectly allowed, and as you can see, that is a very good blood entry. And the ice spray wand is being used, and then we can also attack Necron here, and it's working out for us. There we go. As you can see, that was a very fast and very efficient first phase. Alright, so now onto the second phase. Ice spray wand is going to come into use a lot more. As you can see, we just froze all of those right there. And that makes us do increased damage and everything. So, as you can see, those skulls are now following us. And those skulls do a ton of damage, those skulls right there. So we're going to make sure to take care of them. And as you can see, there we go, Necron's enraged now, and we're going to get out of here so that we can get onto red and do that. Alright, there we go, and we're now chilling in red. And all the skulls are gone, so that's good. And now we're going to be doing our tasks. very easily, and the gate's already been destroyed. Here we go. And as you can see, look, the terminal solver here makes this terminal so much faster than it would have been because you don't have to think about it. You can just click really easily, and that is that. As you can see, we're just waiting here. Necron is incoming from there, but we're okay. There you go, and the core entrance is now opening. As you can see, we're now going in here. We are with our skeleton pet on so we can do extra damage to him. And now let's do this. Okay, so we're taking quite a bit of damage here from Necron. He's just beating us a lot. It's fine. What? No. Alright, so we're being revived. Unfortunately, got stuck in the lava. It's okay. And there we go, guys. We beat Necron. We did it. Boom. As you can see, we got an S on floor 7 of Necron. Boom. As you can see, we got quite a few deaths there. Unfortunately, it is a very difficult floor. I kind of threw, but it's okay. In the end, we beat Necron. As you can see, here we go. Easy 300,000 coin profit from Soul Eater. As you can see, look at that. And then here's 125,000 coin profit. All the profits are completely ridiculous. There's going to be a dungeon chest key right here. And yeah, it's really, really good. Okay, everyone. So that was the video. As you can see, using this gear, even though it's pretty squishy, I was able to survive floor 7 of Necron and be an active team member. And this, by the way, as you can see, skills, dungeoneering, only Catacombs 26. Personally, I feel that your gear and the items that you have matter more than Catacombs level. Some will disagree with me, but personally, I feel that if you get this gear, the setup is, let me just check real quick. I'd say the setup's about 220 to 240 million. You can beat floor 7, and as you can see, I got just 500,000 coins of profit right there. As you can see right there, I got a Soul Eater book, and I got a Wisdom book, all that give profit. Alright, everyone, so that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and lastly, I'd like to say that floor 7 is meant to be the end game content of this game. That means that even though you can do floor 7 as a late game player, honestly, I would recommend doing it, but you shouldn't expect as much as the sweats are doing, getting 1 billion coins per week. That's not going to happen, but as you can see, you can still get a good around 5 million coins an hour just by doing floor 7 at this rate, and get tons of Catacombs experience as well. So that is my floor 7 guide for Mage. So if there's anything I missed, make sure to tell me in the comments section down below. Some final thoughts I'd like to say is that if you cannot afford everything in this video, keep in mind that you pretty much need 100 mil Midas staff and you need all of these particular items if you want to do floor 7. So don't get your hopes up too much. I don't mean to discourage you, but you do need pretty much everything in this guide if you want to do floor 7. And you can always do floor 6 or another floor to get the money required. So that was the video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and I hope it helped you. Consider subscribing as these videos take a long time to make. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!